I am JAS T WARD, and I want to stop by and introduce myself. I write thrilling, exciting, funny, and adventurous sci-fi and paranormal books with a touch of romance and sex in them, so there's something for everyone. I know that you're going to be meeting some of my readers tonight and chit-chatting with them about this series, and I just want to say I hope you know what you're in for. They're pretty obsessed with these characters in these books, and I am so happy that they are. We have book 4, Murder, coming out January 30th, and I do hope all your viewers, as well as anyone else who may, be intrigued, checks it out and considers giving it a pre-order. Right now, book 1 is on sale for 99 cents, as well as the fan fiction story that started it all. So if you get Candyman and Madness for 99 cents each, you'll be ready to go come January 30th. Had fun with my readers. They're an amazing group of women, and I would be nowhere without them. And so, welcome to the grid. You're now part of the inner war between heaven, hell, and all the forces in between. Thanks.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Fandom Forum. I'm your host, Joe Compton. Thank you so much for joining us, and we are here to talk about the paranormal, romance, fantasy, amazing series, The Shadow Keepers, by the one and only JAS T WARD. And I have an amazing group of ladies who are joining us to talk about that. We're going to get into some really interesting and deep conversations. So without further ado, let's meet them all.
Hi, I'm Crystal Marie. I was a blogger.
Hi, I'm Deja. I'm a longtime reader of the Shadow Keeper series. I've been following for a while, so I'm looking forward to talking about it.
Awesome.
Hi, guys. I'm Carol Ann, and like Deja, I'm a longtime reader of the Shadow Keeper series, and this is going to be a lot of fun.
So we're here to talk about the Shadow Keeper series, which is written by JAS T WARD. One of the interesting things about this series that I discovered in learning about it was that it started as a Facebook posting blog, and from there it went into a novella, and then that novella was developed into the series. And I wanted to start by asking each of you how you got started with the series.
I am actually a part of the Facebook group, so I got to see it from the beginning, basically. So I got to see it when it was really like at the rawest form, and then just to watch it grow to where it is now. It's like I always say, it's well deserved. It always deserved the type of attention that it's getting. So to be able to say I was a part and got to see it from the beginning was really cool.
I was the first blogger. No, really. I met Jazz through a mutual author friend we had at the time. And this author friend lied and said that I was like this amazing blogger. And Jazz was like, okay, please, I will do anything you want. Read my book. And I read it and I was like, oh my God, I love this. And she goes, you're never going to get rid of me now. I'm going to be stuck on you. And she has. She has.
Yes. How about you, Caroline? Where did you jump in on the series?
I came in a little bit later in the Facebook group, not so much when it first started, but maybe a year or two after. So I really didn't get to see the beginning like Deja did, but really sticking with it and seeing how it's beginning to evolve and take on this whole living personality in and of itself. It's actually really neat. I've always been an avid reader, but to actually work with and see just how the whole process goes, starting from just being online and things like that, and then getting into the publishing and really making a niche, it's great.
So what would you recommend for anybody who's getting into the series now? Obviously, that's well past the time, now she's got the books out and everything. Do you think that starting with the novella might be the best way to get yourself indoctrinated into this world? Or do you feel like you should just go to book 1 and go from there?
I started with book 1. Actually, I think like she had book 1 out, and then it was later that she released the novella as the novella.
The novella was in bits and pieces.
Okay,
it was very small, yeah.
So, I mean, I read Madness first. Yeah. And then I went on from there, and then I backtracked, read the novella, and then I went forward. And then Jazz broke my heart. She knows what I'm talking about. And then I've read them all a couple times since then. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. Okay.
I can say you can either go either way with either starting reading the novella or just jump into madness. I like Reno is just my crush, so I was just ready to jump in as soon as the book was ready. So she was like, book, and I said, Reno. I said, yes, okay, read now, and that's what it was.
Anytime I recommend it, I always write Candyman first, just to kind of get that introduction to Reno. But for anybody walking off the street, I'm handing them a copy of Madness and saying, here, I don't care how painful this is, you must read it. It's the good kind.
All right, so maybe Deja can start us off here. My next question is to describe Reno to those who've never met him.
Oh, that's a good
Candyman.
question. He's so cute and handsome and just the bomb. Okay, I think Reno as a character, he brings you in, even though he is, as it says in the book, horrible at making decisions. His heart is always in a good place. And when he loves hard. And he is a character that you cannot help but to fall in love with. And as the series progresses and you go through, you just fall in love with them more in the surrounding characters. And as that family grows, each character you love, or she'll get you to kind of like hate them at first. You like, all right, I love you. You earned this. All right, it's good. But as it grows, you just fall in love with them. And Reno is just like the center of it.
Oh,
I'm not
Reno.
a fan of Reno.
Girl, bad. No, I'm playing.
Bounce is not bad. I'm Team Bounce. Oh,
Oh, good. I'm not alone.
I got you. You and me, we got this.
Listen, Bounce is fine. Don't get me wrong. He's the man. But
No.
Reno is my everything. Okay.
No. The moment has passed.
So let me ask you this, Deja. If you were to like maybe pick a celebrity or a character that's familiar to people and say that's Reno, who would you label as Reno?
Bradley Cooper all the time. It's just one of those things, and it's so bad, especially because I write in the creative writing, the fan fiction group, and all of that stuff. I see Bradley Cooper now, and I'm like, oh, Reno's on TV, and my mom is like, that's Bradley Cooper. I said, oh, that's him too, but that's Reno right now, so that's who I always think of.
Oh.
When it comes to Emma, what's one thing you think new readers should keep in mind or be alert of that may not be spelled out or be obvious right off the bat? Because she plays a pivotal role in this, especially in Madness, right? So
yes, she's layered and she is complicated, but she's a very, very strong person, and she can be just as silly as Candyman, but she knows, like, if her back is against the wall or if somebody's messing with her family, considering how important family is to her, she's nothing to play with. She can be straight up scary.
So let's delve into this a little bit. So we're into book one here, Madness, which is book one is entitled Madness, and we get a good amount of the world built in this first novel. But what did you find that was unique and interesting that the author did to establish this world that you hadn't seen before? Or maybe that you thought was a real fresh take on something that you'd seen before?
So I'm a paranormal junkie. Like I love paranormal books. It wasn't a vampire or werewolf book. That is like that is like the one thing that I loved about it. And another thing is, like, as I was reading it, I was actually getting drawn into the backstory of, this is what was going on. It wasn't like there was 3 chapters at the beginning of the book that is like, okay, take all this back information and let me just shove it down your throat and you're going to get it and you're going to understand it. No, it wasn't like that. I mean, as you're going along in the story, you're finding out, okay, this is why this is here. This is why this was mentioned.
It was normal, everyday people who are a part of the grid. So you got layers. So it's almost like, I mean, if you use your imagination, you could be walking down the street and like, man, that person could be a part of the grid and you wouldn't know it because it was so many layers and it opened up a world of all these different type of people working together. I mean, from the doctors to the techs and all of it. And it's a community within itself, which I found really cool.
The characters are really relatable. Like, when I do read Madness, you can really associate yourself with a lot of situations. Yes. I mean, I know none of us have died and come back to the world of the living. That's really awesome. I want to talk to you. But just a lot of situations they find themselves in, the everyday, the struggle to get through every day and things like that. It's very easy to associate things that are going on in the book with what you've got going on in your own life. And that makes it an easier read for me and a more enjoyable read.
Because the characters have flaws in them. They're not perfect characters. Yeah,
exactly.
So when you read a book and they're like, oh, this character is invincible and untouchable and they're just like bad to the bone, whatever you want to call it, you are kind of like, all right, this is good. And it's a lot of books that I've read because I'm a paranormal romance fiend. I can go for days. But with the characters that you read in the Shadowkeeper series, their flaws make them so relatable, and it makes it easy to fall in love with them as you read the series.
I want to know from each of you what ancillary character should we be paying attention to in book one that might play a pivotal role in the next couple books, and was there a particular character that you really liked that maybe you would hope gets more play as we go on in the series, or if there's more book, there are more books to come, I've been told. So is there a character out there in this first book that you're really gravitated toward that is not one of the main characters?
Bounce.
She took my answer.
Bounce came all the way around.
Yes. Yeah, because when I finished Madness, and because of I was like, Reno got his book and everything, but as you read it, you was like, man, I want to know more about Bounce. I got to find out about this man. What's happening?
I know, right? It's like you're going along. It's like, wait a minute, what the heck just happened? Then you back up a few steps, aka pages. Don't mind Christopher. And then you're all like, wait a minute, what is going on here? And then you're like, oh, and then you're like, Jazz, I need this. And she goes, I got you. And then next thing you know, she's doing mean, horrible things and breaking your heart. And you're just, yeah.
What do you think of the alternate personality angle in the books? And was it easy to follow? Was it something that you enjoyed? And was it something that you thought added to the story?
I think it really did. I love Madness. I really do as a character. He's so different than anybody else I've ever read as a character. That he's so innocent but so terrifying at the same time.
Yes.
It's
different, and because it's so unique, you want to know more about it as the stories develop.
Yes. How it was different. I mean, it's not something you get every day.
So I've been asked to ask you all for you.
Uh-oh.
I've been asked for you all to explain about a keeper's heartbeat.
Oh,
It's a whole different version of romance.
yes.
There's nothing like it out there that I've found.
Right.
Like you always see the, oh, he's the perfect one, or she's the perfect one, but it never really explains what that means in other romance or paranormal romance that I've read before. But the heartbeat, that really gives it an explanation. Like it's not that they're the one that's bringing you back to life; they're giving you a reason for that life.
Right.
Come to book 2 and Lust, and in it we meet Mackenzie Miller. So describe her to those who haven't met her before.
Oh, she tough.
She's badass.
She's that girl I want to be. There's no way I could ever be that person.
Yeah.
She's a very straightforward, complicated person, but she still has that really sweet side, but nobody gets to see it unless she really trusts you.
Right.
And you really got to work to earn that.
She is one of those, like, either she likes you or she don't like you. And don't piss her off. Just if she wants you in her circle, if she wants you in the circle, you'll be in the circle. If not, just stay like 10 feet away. Give her 50 feet. That's it.
No, I will say this. One of the reasons that I loved Mackenzie was, this is going to sound a total cliche and so bad. So many times when you're reading like any type of book, you know, yeah, they have a strong female character and she's badass and all this. And then all of a sudden this other person comes around and this strong, badass woman character just like turns into a kitty cat. That's not the way it is with Mackenzie. She is like badass to the core. It doesn't matter. She's not going to change anything about who she is. She's not scared if a guy comes up to her. She's not scared if a girl comes up to her. She's going to do what she needs to do. And she just says, screw you to everybody else.
So how does the author connect these two books together for you?
it's really a continuation between stories.
Yeah.
Like there's between Madness and then a little bit into Bounce, but then into Lust, there's really not a big time jump or a time gap between books. And what gap there is easily explained, and you pick up on the little bits and pieces in between. You're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. This really, this connects here, this connects there. But there is no changing characters either.
Oh,
like you still get Reno, you still see Emma, you get your main core group of people. It just gets expanded a little bit bigger. Yeah. Like in some series that I've read, or series I've read before, you get each book is its own set of characters, and you don't get a real good glimpse of those characters you met in book 1 or book 2 or however many books ago it was. But with these two, you have that core group that's still there. They're still interacting. Mm-hmm. And then it just gets expanded a little bit more. So now you really have another set of characters to add to that core group.
Yep.
So I asked that question because I'm curious to know what stands out as unique about this book that was different from the first book that you like, that you gravitated towards, that you didn't have in the first book.
I always get excited when a female character is the lead. So when Mackenzie was Lust, I also like the fact that her character was, once again, flawed, and because of her being the keeper of Lust, she wasn't some sexy bombshell look at me type person. It was like she kind of struggled with it, and considering, I don't want to give too much away in the books, of course, but as you read the book, she had to really get comfortable in her power and not in the way that people think.
Also, isn't there an interesting wedding that takes place in this book?
Oh, yeah. Running thing in the Keeper's books, they don't do celebrations well.
Parties do not end well for anybody on the grid.
They're like, birthday party, I don't know if I should come.
How about we just webcam it? Nobody gets together.
Right.
That's pretty much how grid parties have to go.
Yes. It's like they cannot all be in the same room. It's almost like if you're a member of the grid, you walk in and you're like, oh my God, everybody is here. I need to leave.
Never tell Jazz that you like a character.
Oh,
she will kill them. And then it makes it worse because she'll be like, oh, hey, guess what I did today? And it's like, what? And she goes, oh, that character you talked about, I killed it. She's like, oh, did you like that character? Yeah, don't ever tell her that you like a character.
Yeah, every author meme you see out there that's, oh, you love this character? Oh, they're dead. No,
right.
That's normal for the grid.
You fall in love, you read like, oh yeah, I like him. Oh, I like him more. I like him. Oh no.
That should be a giving clue right there.
Yeah, it's horrible.
But the interesting thing about the dichotomy of this world and what she's created is that she can always bring them back, right? And sometimes they don't always come in the form that they were originally were in, right? So.
I
know we're getting
but like when you say that like that, and because of how Jazz writes, it's one of those things like you're reading, you're like, okay, they died, and you're like, okay, what time do they bring them back? Are they coming back? Is it gonna happen now? I'm like, no, she didn't do it for real. This is not real. This is not what's happening. Okay, so when? And then it's like. She's heard from me many of times is, what did you do? What's happening?
She's done that to me before. Like, because they do their I don't know, their fan, I don't even know what it's called, but on the forum, and she'll be like, hey, watch this happen. Because I'm in the Facebook group, and she'll post something, and I'll just watch as the post blows up. From everybody freaking out.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, what'd you do?
That's so fun.
What'd you do?
So fun.
Oh, I love it. I think that's one of the favorite things that us as being on that end of it get to do. And
I can't tell you how many times I have said, "Oh God, we are all dead because of this."
We think, and we all go like, "Oh crap, this is gonna be so good," but they are gonna hate us so much because of it. And so it's like, "Oh, I'm giddy, but oh shoot, let me hide."
So we head into Cowboy, and in this book we get a good taste of the Old West. And how do you like the author's approach to that time period in this world?
It was almost like after you had everything that happened in Madness, and then you had everything that happened in Lust, and then you get into this Old West time period, it kind of put it on a different pace. So it didn't almost become like repetitory. You could be kind of was like, oh, okay, this is something new. This is a new world and everything, because you had already been introduced to Jess in the other books, but now you was like, okay, I get to know more about him and where he came from. And you get to start understanding his connection with Reno and all of that stuff. And too,
I was very biased against Jess when Cowboy came out, just with between how he was written in Madness and then in Lust. I didn't like him. I really did not like Jess. And like Crystal, the first couple of chapters, I'm like, okay, suck it up, Cupcake, let's go. But once I got into it and I really started to see that dynamic between him and Reno, and to really see why Jess was behaving the way he was, that kind of rounded it out for me. It's just Cowboy. You just got to give it a shot.
Is it one of those that you could read without having read the other two books?
Yes.
Yeah, for me, definitely.
So as we move into modern times, we're presented with a familiar and seemingly familiar scenario when we meet, or more aptly, when Jess meets Beth, right? So it's kind of this callback, this pseudo callback to how the whole thing started. And I'm kind of curious, is that something that you guys appreciated? Was that something cool that you thought, hey, this is pretty neat that the author did this? And did she do it pretty well?
Yeah, she did. She took it, and to be able to take something that's familiar and make it different or give some sort of a twist to it, it's not only shows like how good the series is, but how creative and thoughtful the writer is when it comes to the story.
What characters that we get introduced in Cowboy that we should be paying attention to and enjoying that JAS can kill in Murder?
I don't even. Okay, now let's be real here. All right, just say the name of the book title again. And yeah, just don't have feelings towards anybody, because with Murder as the title, I have zero hope.
For those that don't know, Murder is the fourth book. It's going to be due out at the end of this month, actually. So this is a perfect time to get into this series because then you're going to be right into the thick of it and get into the fourth one. And so in it, I've been told that Marcus plays a big role in this book. And so what are some early predictions, or are there specific questions you would like to ask the author that you might want to see in this next book and maybe the fifth and sixth book and beyond that?
My heart, I will predict in high hopes that Jazz will not break my heart. I do not see it happening. I mean, I see her breaking my heart, but you know what? At some point, my tears will actually upset her. So...
The definition of a roller coaster doesn't quite cover it.
Yes.
But it's in the best way possible.
The best thing to say about Murder is you better tie yourself down and be ready. Because once you start, you can't get off until it's over.
Why do you think you all, from each of you, I want to know, why do you think you're so into this series?
It's the characters and it's the world itself. To come into a world and you start reading it and you get people, they're people. It's relatable. And then it just so happens that they're badasses along the way. It draws you in and you get so involved. And because they're written in a way that you get to actually see them progress as time goes on, you can't help but to want to know more.
For me, it's the first series in a very long time that I've actually really cared about how the characters are going to come out of this. You know, like Deja said, you get so wrapped up in their progression, their evolution that you need to know more. It ropes you in and doesn't let you go.
The big reason that got me into this series was Jazz, because, like I said, I was a blogger. And all of a sudden, there's this lady who is promised me everything under the sun if I would just give her baby book a shot. And so I read it, and I was like, okay, yeah, it's good, it's different. But she was just so excited about it, and she was so happy that somebody read her book. And so for me, that was what got me through it. You know, and then after that, it's like, okay, well, I reread it a couple times. I'm like, all right, I need more.
The interesting thing is, you know, she's done all this on her own, you know, for the most part. I mean, she's an indie author. So do you feel like having that access to her directly and being connected to her and being a part of this world makes it that much more exciting? And does it really give you a lot more than you would have if she was a traditionally published author from a house that, you know, the only thing you could do is stand in line and get a signed copy from? You know what I mean?
I can't even stand in line and get a signed copy from her now. She lives in Texas.
See, I have been in that line where I have met author, or at least one author who is from a big publishing company, or was at the time. I'm not sure she still is now, but even they were down to earth. They really, you know, they appreciate the fans coming up and saying how much they enjoy the books. But with Jazz, being able to say, hey, you know, I don't really get it. You know, why is this happening? Why did you put this twist here that, you know, whatever, and having her actually sit there and be willing to explain it. That's so different from anybody else out there.
Nice.
You can see, because of being close and her being so accessible to people, you can see how much of her she puts into her characters, and how, just like we're going through it reading it, she's going through it writing it. So when it's like, oh my God, you hurt my feelings, it's like, well, my feelings are hurt too. And it makes it even more like almost sentimental as you read the books, because like you said, you get to ask her the questions if you don't understand. You get to get an explanation if you want to know more, to an extent, of course. But
yeah,
makes you feel like in a way that you're a part of it too.
Everybody go and check this out. Like Carol Ann said, like all of them said, like Deja said and Crystal said, now's the time. Jump in, both feet, get ready to go, and just go and get into the series, and you'll be right on track to keep up with it going forward. And when you first get into the Facebook group, just wear a helmet. And just so just run in there. Just jump right in the middle and just let things hit you. And then you'll be back in and you'll be oriented. And I promise, and it'll be fun. That's one of the cool things about and interesting things about this series is that it started much like The Martian started. It was just a bunch of things that she wanted to put out there and test the waters, and then she went further with it, and now it's its own thing, and it's got a big world, and there's a lot going on, and it's definitely worth the time and energy to take it on. And with that, everybody, just remember that it is also always time to go indie now. And thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you again in the next show. Thanks, everybody.